Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level.
This story is from a very different time in my life, and it's rather infamous in my community. It's known as the "Is that fucking it" story, and you'll know why once I tell it. So again, the setting, Jacksonville Beach. I think it was like 2007, a long time ago. Some of you were zygotes. I had just moved down to Jacksonville. I was going through a rough patch in college, and I kind of needed a break between my junior and senior year. So I went, okay, it's time to go try to do something different in life, shake things up. So I moved down to Jacksonville Beach with a couple friends from home. And we found a really nice house, what we thought was a really nice house for really cheap. Little did I know, there was a reason it was so cheap. And that reason was because it was located in an area that some people might refer to as a ghetto. So it was not the greatest place to live. There was a lot of crime and gang activity and just crazy things that I, having moved from suburban New York, wasn't really used to at the time. So we went down and we rented this house all together. We were like, we gotta find a way to make friends. How do 21-year-olds make friends? I know. Well, the weather's nice and booze is really cheap. So let's buy like a lot of booze and then open our front door and just like play loud music and like people will come by and we'll just like throw like a block party, you know, smart. Yeah, you know, like I said, different time in my life. I've gotten dumber since then. So we started throwing these parties like every night, and we'd invite like friends from work, and they'd just invite friends, and they'd invite friends, and eventually got to the point where we're kind of notorious on the street for throwing these parties. And during one of these parties, we got a noise complaint. The policia came by. And they were like, hey, knock, knock, knock. Hey, there's way too much noise here. Are you guys drinking in there? I was like, yeah, officer, everyone's of age, it's fine. No one is drinking underage here in this very clearly not official party that just has a lot of weird people like hanging out in our yard doing stupid things. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna let everyone know that we got a noise complaint. I'm gonna let everyone know, like, we gotta chill out, and if they've been drinking, they don't drive, etc., etc. So I go back into the house, and of course we have a megaphone in the house, because why wouldn't we have one at the time? I walk in, and I grab the megaphone, and everyone's just trying to have a good time. And I get on the megaphone, and I just go, hey, everyone, hey, we just got a noise complaint. I need everyone to leave. If you're, drinking, don't drive, etc., just leave my house. And as I'm making this announcement, there's this guy like pacing back and forth in the middle of my room. He's on a cell phone. It was a flip phone back then. He couldn't even access the internet. What a heathen. But he looks up at me like in the middle of my announcement, and he's like, hey man, I'm on the phone here, can you shut up? And I'm like, dude, it's my house, what are you doing? Like, get out of my house. So me, being a hot-blooded 21-year-old who was at a very low point in my life at the time, I'm gonna pull this all the way out, all right? I didn't really have much of a fight or flight instinct that was on the flight side of things. So I remember walking over to him, getting real nice and cozy, and with a megaphone, about a foot from his face, I went, you shut up. Get out of my house. Well, this young lad was part of one of the local gangs I mentioned earlier in the story. And he reached into his back waistband and produced what some of us would call a shooty shoot. And once again, being a completely idiotic 21-year-old who was full of hot blood and piss and vinegar. I looked right at him, and I just went, "Shut the fuck up." I just pulled out my microphone, yelled at him in his face, and at this point everyone freaked out. Everyone jumped up in the party, and like my friends were pulling me away, his friends were pulling him away, going, "Dude, it's not worth it. He's an idiot. He's gonna grow up to be a YouTuber." So they pulled me away, and we thought everything had calmed down, and the party was sort of like dying down, and that was good, because after that, obviously you don't want a whole bunch of crazy alcoholed up people running around doing horrible things. So we thought the party had chilled, and I was just kind of hanging out, talking to a friend, and all of a sudden, this blur flew across the room. It's faster than any human could react at all. It was the guy. He had run across the room, and he swung back, and I swear it was like in an action movie when it goes slow-mo. Just swung back and decked me in the face as hard as he could. And I know, I totally did deserve it. So I took this in the face, and this is the part where everyone's like, "This is bullshit, this didn't happen." But I got punched in the face, and I remember just seeing stars because I was standing next to a wall and my head kind of cranked back, and, "Oh, crank, where is he? Let's crank my rock." It like cranked back, and I smacked my head off the wall. And I remember, like, testament to me, once again, 21-year-old me was just a different person. I didn't go down. I didn't fall over. I simply moved my head back up, and I looked at him, and I gave him the hardest death glare I think I've ever given to anyone in my life. And I just, "Is that fucking it?" And meanwhile, I have blood pouring down my face. I have my lips split open, and everything is horrible. This was Halloween, mind you. So, everyone's there to have a good time. Except for me, apparently. So I do have a scar on my lip from where my canine went all the way through my face, which is horrible. I hate it. But so this went down, and when I said this to him, I don't know if he had just not been in many fights, or if he had like watched a lot of action movies, or like one punch is all you need to beat up the bully, or something like that, or maybe he was just so intimidated by all of this. 5'5", fierce as a dragon. To be fair, he was probably like 5'6". He was a small guy too, so he probably expected that one sucker punch to be his all-in. But I just remember his eyes went wide, and he was like, "Oh shit!" And he just like ran across the floor and he got away. And then a whole bunch of other people who happened to be at my party, who I had made friends with down in Jacksonville, are like, "No one does that to Brian." And they all jumped up and they chased him out into my yard. And that was bad for other reasons that will come up in a moment. I, meanwhile, bleeding all over my living room, had all my friends going, "Dude, you gotta go to the hospital, you gotta get stitches." And I was fine up until that point. I was like all filled with like adrenaline. I was like, "Oh, man, I can handle anything. I can take on the world." And then they were like, "You're gonna have to go get stitches." And for those of you guys who don't know, I have the biggest phobia of needles of all time. So as soon as they mentioned needles, I was like, "Oh, guns, whatever, like gang members, whatever. Needles, no, I'm not going to the hospital, you can't make me." So I basically had to be forced to the hospital, like kicking and screaming. Once again, this was Halloween night, so the hospital, it was a pretty happening place. There were a lot of people there, hanging out, having a hard time. So I went into the waiting room and waiting for my stitches, and I get really impatient, and I go up to the front desk, the receptionist. I'm like, "What the heck? I've been waiting for like 3 hours. What's going on? I need to get in and get out before like the booze is out of my system, so I'm not as scared." So I go up and she's like, "Well, the people who are getting treated, they're real emergencies right now." And I was like, "What the heck's a real emergency?" And no joke, as I'm saying this, a man is rolled in on a stretcher, and he is, you know, the EMTs are like, oh, I gotta go into operation right now. It was the guy who had punched me earlier that night. Yeah. So, as soon as I see this going by, I don't know why, something clicked. I had a revelation where I was like, I'm gonna die in a drive-by. This is a bad place to be. Fortunately, we had a mutual friend between the two of us who worked things out afterwards. But shortly after that, I moved back from Jacksonville, back to New York State, finished my degree in college, sort of put my life on track. And the reason that I've told you guys this story, besides, you know, obviously proving how tough I am, you guys know, I mean, I'm the toughest guy ever, right? I mean, I only almost cried at To the Moon, okay? But the reason I tell this story to people is just to give a little bit of a perspective of who I am. Because some of you guys, obviously, you know me through Ethan, or you know me through Mark, or you know me through some of my friends who are a little bit more well-known in the community. And you don't really know that much about me personally. So this is obviously a super personal story. It's from a very, very low point in my life. It's from a point where I really didn't have a lot of hope. I didn't have a lot of need to believe in myself. I certainly didn't ever think that I'd be standing here in front of you guys, in a room full of people who support me, with a community that has my back, who interacts with me every single day. And I tell that story because a lot of the times I get these messages where people are like, hey, sorry that I haven't been active in the community. You know, I've only watched like 2 videos this week, something like that. But it's because of people like you doing those small things that I've been able to turn my life around from a low point like that, see the direct result of working hard and changing my direction and wanting to be a better person, to not have to go through situations like that ever again. And now, here I am. I'm here in front of you guys. So, to every single one of you sitting in this room right now, if you ever believe that this is the lowest life can ever get, there's no point in pushing on, you know, I'm always going to be stuck in this situation. I've been there. When I say I've experienced what you guys have, I have. So it really does mean the world that you're all here right now. So thank you guys so, so much. Seriously. Thank you. It's a nice, heavy, fun way to start the panel. But, and yeah, and that's fucking it. Goodbye. This is the time of the panel where I go, I don't have anything else besides that. I don't know how many minutes that was. Probably too many. 17. That means I have to entertain people for a long time. All right, this is the part of the panel that you will hear this from every single person who does a panel. First of all, I know I just told like the darkest story of my life, like, oh man, all these horrible things happened, full of awful times. But let's try to keep questions for the upcoming Q&A nice and light, things that we can all enjoy and can all appreciate. Please be nice to each other, don't shove or push or run or anything like that. I don't know how I'm gonna set the mics up. This is a problem. I think I can probably... Girbeagly panel is great. I got a concussion. Awesome. I don't know. Do they? I don't know. If we could get this one working, then we'll probably have it set up where I'll just have the mic here, and we'll form a nice orderly line. A cue. Well, can you guys believe that I do like AV stuff online all the time? I don't know how to use. Say my internet sucks. I mean, you're not wrong. I need the shield of the internet to be good. Yeah, blame Spectrum. Right here. This is their
I found something under your skirt down here that made it work.
Yay! Let's get our skirt. All right, so guys, what we will do is we will form a nice orderly queue by the microphone. And like I said, let's keep the questions nice and fun. And feel free to line up, I guess, along-ish way. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Bunny. I'm incompetent. You get to hold that with your very own hand. It's your pen.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate
All right, contestant number 1.
Hello. I don't know if you know who I am.
Never heard of you in my life.
No. The countless emojis attest to that. So first of all, before I say my question, I'm going to get really emotional because I hate you and I love to make you suffer. So that story, regardless of how many times I've heard it, always makes me worry for your safety.
Believe it or not, I survived.
Sometimes I don't believe that. You do not have a lot of self-preservation. Like, you have no sense of it at all.
9 lives. I was one of them.
So, this panel is your first solo panel. I am so proud of you. And I know what you're gonna say, don't even start, but it's not you, it's the rest of us. We're the reason that you're here. But you had to start that off. Nobody would be here if you didn't start that. Nobody would be here for you if you didn't start that. You are an incredible person, and you say all the time, you're not incredible, you're just a person, but you are a very special person to a lot of people. You are a moment in their life that brings them immense happiness, and you are the only person that brings them that specific happiness. And that is so important to so many people. So thank you for that. You are incredible.
Thank you. You didn't have to do that.
I'm gonna punch you later. I'm gonna give you another scar. You're gonna get another scar later. Anyway, so my real question.
Yes.
So at first I wasn't sure what to ask you because I feel like at this point I've asked you pretty much any question that I would want to know from you. It's been 2 years. I've had a lot of time to ask you. But there is one question. Stop doing that. I'm trying to talk. There is one question that I really wanted to ask you. And it's from the beginning of your YouTube experience. Like between all of the first meetings with fans, all of the cool opportunities, all the stuff you've gotten to do, all the happy moments. Has there ever been one moment that you wish you could hold on to forever?
A single moment out of everything that's ever happened to me.
One moment. From the beginning of your YouTube career.
Since the very beginning.
The very beginning. I'm sure it's your first video.
Yeah, of course. I really want to hold on to that one. Obviously, haven't improved since then. Honestly, this is probably up there. I like, not to get super sappy, but like I've literally never been in a room where everyone was only focused on me, and that's insane. I don't know. I've done panels before, I've done signings before, but like this is me live in front of you, and I get to hear the feedback immediately. I get to see the people who make my community up face to face and like have somewhat of a conversation, have you guys come up, ask questions, and that's something I've always dreamt of and wanted, because a lot of the times, you know, with like signings and things, you sort of get pushed along, and it sucks because, I mean, Ethan and I talk about this all the time, but like at signings we're like, man, I wish we got more of an opportunity to talk to each person, and here it's a little bit more of an intimate thing, and it's very surreal right now. Like, I don't feel like I'm really here. Part of it is because it's like 10 in the morning. Thank you for coming out. What? No. Not at all. I'm not at all. Like, actually not at all. But it is very surreal. It's, there's like a lot of emotion in the room, and I've never done this. What was that? It's 10:56. Yeah. Like, if I didn't have to be here right now, I'd probably still be sleeping.
With that in mind, please keep the questions quick, because there is a line. So, sorry to be that guy, but I am that guy.
Thank you. But yes, it would probably be this moment right here. This is unbelievable. Thank you guys so very much. It means a lot. I mean, you guys see me fret on social media. I worry a lot. You guys are just living reassurance. You guys are amazing, and you don't ever have to do that, but you do. So thank you. I'm sorry, I forget.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, okay, so she said like a lot of what I wanted to say in the beginning, so I'll just, okay. So I'll just ask you my question. Is there something you've wanted to do since you were a child, still haven't gotten to, but are planning to accomplish eventually?
Oh yeah, a lot. I think though the number one thing would probably be voice acting. Like, I really want to do, like, obviously I do like my own amateur brand of that on my channel, but I want to do it in like a video game or like an animated movie. Aladdin was always my favorite movie when I was a kid, because I was a huge Robin Williams fan. Not because he was like the best voice actor out there, but because every time he voice acted anything, you just knew he was having fun. And when I was a kid, I kind of like grabbed onto that, and I was like, man, like his impressions aren't that great, but he's just like having a blast. He's like having the best time of his life. And I was like, when I started getting into voice acting more, I was like, man, I kind of suck at this, but like, I'm having a blast. And that's all that really matters. So, I don't know, I'd like to do that at some point, just be an official voice actor, like have an IMDb that says that. Thank you.
So I have a few things to say.
Well,
they're quick. So this is my first Popcon, and it's my first time meeting you guys, and I'm really glad that I came because I met so many of my new friends, and I'm just glad I met you guys yesterday. And I might be leaving during the panel, but I'm sad. But anyways, yesterday I was gonna ask, do you stalk us on Twitter and Instagram?
What are Instagram and Twitter? What are you talking about? Never heard of any such thing. Stalking in what way?
Like,
is it this, like, the parents in the room are like, what is happening?
just like looking through and just like liking half our tweets, or seeing us in your mentions, or liking everything.
No comment?
And like liking edits or something on Instagram.
I mean, I always try to interact with like posts that tag me on Instagram. It's really nice to like see when people tag like art or like pictures from things like this. It's really cool. Twitter, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never ever done that before. Yeah, exactly. There we go. Well, thank you. It's great meeting you.
Can I say hi to Morgan?
What was that?
Can I say hi to Morgan?
Morgan. Morgan. What's that? How do you do? There's Morgan. You exist.
Also, can I walk over and give you that
Oh, wait, what was that?
Can I walk over and give you that
You can't come on stage, but you did it. Success. Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Are there like any out-of-world experiences that you've experienced in your life?
Out of world, like supernatural stuff? Or like I was abducted by aliens and taken to planet Xenon?
Paranormal.
Paranormal stuff? Super quick, another story. You can tell who watches my Twitch streams, or I can be part of this, but we like it. I'm like a big time skeptic when it comes to paranormal stuff. I'm the type of person who like, I have to see it to believe it. But when Morgan and I first started dating, I was driving to her place late at night, and like as I was pulling up, there was a swing set she's had since childhood in the front yard, and it like I'd never seen anyone using it. There aren't like a lot of kids on her street or anything, but there was this little girl swinging back and forth in her front yard, and this was probably like midnight or something. It was really late at night, and so I drive up and I'm like, why is she in the front yard of Morgan's parents' house? Like, why is she here? What is going on? And so I got out of my car, and I was like, little girl, which in like retrospect, you know, a weird, strange adult, bad. But she like hopped off the swing and like sprinted around the edge of Morgan's house. And Morgan's parents live on a lake, so there's not really like once you go to like the yard that's away from the street, there's like nowhere to go, just open until the lake, so there's like nothing to hide behind. There's no way that she was like so fast that I wouldn't have been able to find her. So like I followed behind her and she just disappeared. She just poofed, and I like checked the water. I was like, she didn't fall in because that would be bad. And she just wasn't there. And so later, I always get this detail wrong. Morgan's staring at me like, you gotta get this part wrong. We went to this place called Lilydale that's in New York. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. But it's like this big town made up of like mediums and psychics and stuff. Like stuff that, once again, I'm like, whatever, doesn't exist. But Morgan got picked out of a random crowd, and the lady was basically like, oh, there's this little girl that's been following you around. Am I telling it right? Yeah? Okay. And the way she described her was exactly like the girl I had seen in her parents' yard. So it's like, it's real. I'm haunted. So yeah, that's my only experience with that stuff, though. So.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm cursed forever. Yeah.
Alright, hi Brian.
Hello.
Okay, so my question is, if you, your cats, and Morgan formed a band, what would you guys be called?
Jeez. I mean, the cats would probably pick the name because they get whatever they want. I don't know. The Kitty Brigade.
What genre of music would you guys sing?
Do like classic rock covers, probably.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. I know you've been to several conventions, so you've probably had a lot of experiences with things, but what's the first convention you went to, and what was the highlight from that convention?
Oh boy. My first convention I ever went to was actually PAX East years ago, and it was the one where I met that young fellow. It was the first and like one of the only times I've ever fanboyed over someone as well. I went and I met Mark at a party that I wasn't expecting Mark to be at. And I remember like going up to where like the VIP section was, and him like just kind of walking up and being like, hey Mark, what's up? And he extended his hand, and it's like, once again, one of the only times I've ever fanboyed, but I was like a very small creator. This was years ago, don't judge me. But I just went, hey Mark, I'm a big girl. Just like made this weird noise at him, and I remember him just sort of being like, shaking my hand. But yeah, that was a super memorable PAX because I got to meet a bunch of people who are now like good friends of mine. It's just very awesome. So, thank you.
Hello, too.
Hello, my name is Lynetta. Just so you know, would you like one of your streams before I think?
You should do art. You look like an artist.
But my question is, since you do like to do voice acting, if there's one character, like any character, which one would you like to voice act for?
Like one that exists that hasn't been voice acted, or
No, like even if they've been voice acted.
even if they've been voice acted. Oh man. Gosh. Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z growing up was like my favorite character ever because like just Chris Sabat, who does the voice, just puts so much emphasis on screaming. And I think it would just be really fun to be like in a like voice actor studio, just like yelling as loudly like, "I'm powering up for 17 episodes!" Ah! Just like at the top of my lungs. It would just be amazing. I love that. So yeah. Hello.
My question is slightly personal, but
Oh no.
it's not bad. So I know you're adopted, and
Mhm.
I'm adopted as well.
Okay.
Has that ever affected you, like personally, like growing up, like not really knowing your background or living in a family where it's not you specifically?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely a lot. For those of you guys who don't know, I was born in South Korea, and my parents are both Caucasian. They're white, so I grew up in a pretty small suburban town with like I think 2 other Asian people. So it was really weird. People found out real quick I was adopted. When they'd come over for sleepovers, they'd be like, "Your parents look different." So I know, like when I was a kid, it was a weird time but my parents were really cool and they explained like the whole adoption process and everything when I was young, and they made sure that I knew, you know, like family isn't just about blood. It's about who cares for you, who's going to provide you with that support. And they were awesome about that stuff. And I mean, that's the way I look at them. Like my mom and dad are the only mom and dad I've ever known. It doesn't matter where I've come from, like they are my parents. And recently I did start getting more into like South Korean heritage and like looking that stuff up, thinking about visiting, stuff like like visiting a birth parent or something is still like up in the air, maybe. I know other adoptees who have done that and they're like, it's really cool, and then other adoptees who are like, it's a really long process and it's tough, and so it's more of a personal thing. But yeah, it's definitely stuck out of my mind before where I'd be like, I'm so different, like it sucks. But now it's like just part of who I am, so I'm kind of proud of it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
So, the story you started with,
Oh no.
I just want to say, I really related to the fact that, like you said, you were in a really low point in your life. I've been in probably the lowest point of my life thus far these past couple of years, and it's made college really hard for me. So I was just wondering if you had like any advice.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear, first of all, that you're going through that. It's obviously, like you said in my story, I've also experienced that low point. As cliche as it sounds, it's not going to last forever. It's one of the reasons I do share that story. Again, you know, I hit that point, and I'm here. You know, this is a dream come true for me. College is a weird time because when you're in college, it's sort of the most advanced perspective you have within your age at the time. So you're like, oh man, like this test is the biggest thing in the world and it's putting so much pressure on me. And it's not to invalidate like college kids or anything like that. But if a moron like me could make it through college, literally anyone can. I went for like psychology and English and stuff like that. I flip-flopped, I went all over the place. And obviously, like I said, I took a break between junior and senior year. I needed that. And sometimes it is important to recognize those moments. I'm not saying like drop out right now and go down to Florida. But sometimes it is good to reevaluate. Obviously, I don't know specifically what stresses you out within college at the moment, but just know that that sort of little microcosm that you're a part of right now will not be forever. There are many of us who went through struggles and we pushed through, and even when you don't feel like you have the strength, there's a ton of us out here who are willing to share our stories and willing to let you know there's always a chance to push through, always. So you'll get through it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
So I met you yesterday at coffee with Ethan, and I told you I was going to ask you to do something at this panel.
Okay.
So it's Wendy's birthday.
Oh, that's right. All right, so real quick, guys, we're gonna have to do it speedy because I know we're running short on time. Can we all sing "Happy Birthday" to Wendy right now? So. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Wendy. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hello. Yeah, I need to get my question.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you for singing for my birthday. That was sweet. Thank you. So, I wanted to ask you, have you ever had deja vu? Because when I met you first on Friday, that was the deja vu. Because I remember that I saw that in a dream like 2 years ago, and that was a dream. And it exactly happened this Friday. And I wanted to ask you, did you have deja vu ever?
Have I ever had deja vu? Oh, gosh. I mean, I've definitely had those moments where I'm like, whoa, I've done this before. It's crazy, I'm time traveling. I can't pick out like a specific moment like that. That's crazy. It's wild that you visited me in the past and went to the future. But yeah, yeah, I've definitely experienced it. It's a weird phenomenon, for sure. But happy birthday again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So I wanted to ask you, if you could play any game over for the very first time, what would you play?
Oh, wow. Probably Night in the Woods. Because that game is so good. And since it was released, they've added so much new content. There's so many like new characters. There's like little tiny plots. And they updated it like partway through my playthrough. So those of you who've seen that, like you'll know like partway through that I was like, this character was never here before. Is this new or oh god? Because I have really bad ADD, so I had to talk to every character in the game. But yeah, so probably Night in the Woods. That game was really cool. Or possibly Doki Doki, because that game is another one that just... But it's one of those ones that just, it throws you for such a loop. Everyone is like, you gotta play this game, it's amazing. And then I was like, but it's not that good. And like halfway through I was like, what is happening? This is the craziest experience. So that game would also be another one where I'd like to re-experience that feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Power with the I should have here. So what is like one of your most like anticipated games that like you're excited for to come out soon?
Kingdom Hearts 3 is about to come out. They just announced the release date at E3, so I'm very, very pumped for that one. I love that series. It's super good.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a like really specific question, but if like I don't know how to think anymore. Okay.
That's okay. I've been doing that the entirety of this panel, not thinking.
What is the most nostalgic game that you like keep going back to? Like the first game you could think of, like the first thing that comes to mind brings like so many memories back. What game would that be?
Final Fantasy VI. It was a game that was originally released as Final Fantasy III on Super Nintendo. I used to rent that from like the Blockbuster near my house over and over again. So being a kid, and being once again like one of 3 Asians in a very small town, I didn't have a lot of friends. So playing that game, sort of like, those were my friends. I know that makes me sound like a crazy person, but like those stories that were told in that game just made me so happy, and it was kind of like an escape for me. So it's one of those games that has like a lot of really good memories associated with it, even though it was a really lonely time in my life. It's just like the storytelling, the music, the art, all of it I fell in love with. And it's a game that like probably once a year I go back and like start up again, because it's just very nostalgic for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, hi. Sorry for
Hello.
the shakes over there.
Oh, no.
So I met you on Friday, and my friend said that I was supposed to make a bracelet for you, but I accidentally lost it, and I felt really bad. And I had a fan art for you, and I was wondering if I could get it to you.
Right there. Thank you. Thank you so much. You never feel bad if you're like, oh, I don't have this thing, like this gift or this fan art or anything. It means a lot. But the fact that you showed up at all of this convention and you supported me, thank you so much for that.
And also, fight me.
Oh gosh. Everyone wants to fight me, why?
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Okay, I'm gonna hit you with a really quick triple blow here.
Oh.
Okay. 1, do you miss your cats?
Absolutely.
2, do you miss them so much that you FaceTime them? Because my mom does.
I have on previous trips, not this one yet. But, you know, it's only Sunday.
And here's the actual legit question. What is the weirdest thing your cats have done?
Weirdest thing. Sometimes like, I'm just like, absolutely certain there's like a demon in my house or something. Like my cats will be fine. They'll just be like hanging out, like I'll be petting them and they'll be like A-okay. And then all of a sudden their head will just go. And they'll just stare at something that's not there. And it doesn't matter if I wave my hand in front of their face or like try to grab them or something. They're just like, it's on the wall. You see it too. So it's one of those things where it always freaks me out a little, especially if I'm like home alone. I'm like, oh god, this is how horror movies start. So, yeah. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. You're doing great.
What's the corniest joke you know off the top of your head?
My very favorite joke ever is, so, a dyslexic man walks into a bra. And that's it. That's the whole joke.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How long do you plan on like making people really happy with your channel and stuff?
Oh, gee, is that what I do? I just thought like people were like, cool, there's a panel, we'll wander in. As far as like doing YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that, I'm gonna do it as long as I can. It's something that I did when it wasn't a full-time thing. Like in the grand scope of things, I'm very new to doing full-time YouTube and Twitch. I've always wanted to do content creation of some sort since I was a kid, whether it be acting in a film or making music. If it's something that makes other people happy and can distract them from their problems and it makes their day in some way, then I plan on doing that forever. It doesn't matter if I'm making a full-time living or not. I will always find a way to do that.
Well, that's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Hi again.
Hello again.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say hi to Morgan, because she's like my favorite person.
Morgan, people are saying hi to you again.
So I just want to ask a quick favor. One of my best friends, Caitlin at Zester My Nester.
Okay.
Say hi to her real quick.
Yeah. Hello, Sister My Nester. I know your name. Your deeds, the tales of you, they're all over the land. Don't think that the law will not be able to defend you forever. We'll catch you and you'll pay. Thanks for not being here.
Thank you so much. Hi. I stayed up as long as I could last night watching as many of your videos as possible for the first time because I was no part of you. So
I'm so sorry.
I say that to preface this because if there's an obvious answer to this question, I'm sorry, I'm new. Hi. So, was there a Disney princess that you like really identify with?
Oh, that I identify with? I mean, everyone is probably going to be like, Mulan. I'm racist. But I like Jasmine. I'm a big fan of Princess Jasmine.
Oh, she's dope. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this will unfortunately, sorry to cut you off. This is the last question. Sorry, guys in line still. We almost got through a win bag, but they have another panel coming in, so this will be the very last question. You're on the spot.
Okay. So my question is, when will Girbeagly become canon?
Become canon? There's merch for him. Glitch, I mean, honestly, Glitch is like one of those things that I've shared before is really freaking cool because you guys created Glitch. Like, I was not the one who created Girbeagly because like when Glitch first started showing up, it's because my internet's so bad and my computer at the time was horrible. My like streams would glitch out, so people were like, "Oh, it's Girbeagly. We need a dark ego for everyone." So people started like drawing fan art, and people started like writing lore and stuff. So I was like, if you guys like this much, absolutely, I'll add this in. And that's why Halloween last year I made the video where I did like a spooky, scary reading. But then at the very end, there's a twist, and that was the first canon reveal of Girbeagly, but I don't know if he'll be back, we'll see. I don't know. But thank you guys. Thanks. That's all the time we have, guys. Thank you so much. I honestly didn't expect more than like 10 people at this thing, and the fact that you guys showed up and made us move from the medium room to this one is insane, and it means the world. Thank you guys so very much. Hope that you have a wonderful rest of your PopCon. Thanks for coming to my TED